We were doing this project in IIT Hyderabad, and it was just 2 days from the convocation, and we decided to use the emotion of aspiration, because students here, aspire for, better life, better education, better future. So we thought we'll build sculptures with aspiration. So the first step involves students selecting a photo of their choice from magazines, old magazines, and pick up that photograph and bring it to the class. From this photograph of, whether it could be the photograph of people celebrating, people looking up for something, it could be any of these things. And from this photograph, the first task is to decipher the grammar of the photograph. In this grammar, we find out what is the primary element which actually brings out this emotion of aspiration. Then we check out what is the secondary element which is supporting this primary element. So after the students actually picked up the grammar was specifically, talking about the primary and the secondary elements, which are the two main elements in the photograph. So then, after working on multiple clay models, the students could come to terms with how the abstraction is working, how the picture is no longer, the component, but it is the clay which is talking about the primary and the secondary elements. So now, once they did the clay models, they had to now come up with one single statement of what the relationship between the primary and the secondary is. Let us go to the students and check up what those relationships were and what are the single sentences.
Primary is pushing down secondary.
That's very interesting. In this case, the primary was pushing down the secondary and actually moving up. What was yours?
In my case, it was the secondary flourishing around the primary to move up.
That's again very interesting. Here in his case, it was flourishing around, so that you'll see how all these things will come up in the sculpture when we show you the actual sculptures. What was yours?
So mine was secondary is pushing primary to move up.
It's very interesting when the primary is pushing the secondary to move up. How are you going to show this push in your sculpture is a very interesting component. And what was yours?
Mine was primary forcefully moving upwards, supported by the secondary.
That's again very interesting. When you say forcefully, how do you show this forceful in the sculpture is the most interesting part. So taking these single statements, the students then made small cardboard models. Now here we did a very interesting thing. We said we're going to use whatever scrap is available, and we looked around and we found this interesting material which earlier student has used to make some furniture, and she had actually drilled holes and created multiple beads out of that, and the beads she used for her furniture, and these planks of wood were available. We said now we'll build the sculpture out of these wooden planks. So here we see these wonderful things being built now, and we will then see how they moved from the cardboard model to the final sculpture. So what I did here was I made groups of 3 to 4 students form a group, and they would combine all the three champion statements they made. So when they combined the statements, the aspirational value became much more higher, and the sculpture became much more intricate and much more beautiful and much more simplistic. So that's how we could complete this assignment from a photograph to a final sculpture, which hopefully IIT Hyderabad will use it during their convocation as props in some very important locations.